Decepticon Bludgeon was nearly destroyed by a fight with the Metallicato Master Autobot Whirl. Forced to retreat and hide, he scanned a new vehicle mode and disappeared into the Southeast Asian jungle. He is desperate to prove himself against an Autobot. However, so he has caused just enough local chaos to attract the attention of Ironhide. Now he lies in wait for the Autobot, ready to spring his trap and destroy his victim in an instant. Using a score of kidnapped animation interns, he is using their skill to create a 3D hologram of a poorly realized jungle in order to trap and confuse the Autobot weapons master. Once inside the trap, Ironhide's guns, which are sitting on guns, will all but be useless, as Bludgeon will use his horridly disturbing voice to corrupt the very spark of the valiant Autobot, and then he will use his super flexy sword to finish off his prey.
And here we have Bludgeon. Bludgeon is I would say an Asian-style tank. I'm not sure if it's Korean, Chinese, or Japanese, but it is an Asian-style tank. The tank has, in the tank mode, it actually is really solid. A really solid tank mode. Unfortunately, the only thing it can do is just turn the turret. The other negative is the bendy thing here. This will form the sword in robot mode. I'm going to talk about this now. This is made out of probably the cheapest, weakest plastic I have ever seen. Just from being in tank mode, this used to be pretty straight. It's now got this bend to it because of gravity. When I've had it in robot mode, I've had the sword tilted to the side, and it had developed a curve because of gravity. This thing is such weak plastic, it is affected by gravity. I mean, you could see the curve there. That is a real bummer. I mean, I realize why they did it. They did it for safety. They have to meet a certain safety standard. And if this thing was, say, like really, say, Japanese quality sword, toy sword, obviously, with a chrome, and then this was green, I'd love it, but you kids could stab each other with it. I mean, it could hurt them. So that's a real bummer. It's a real bummer. But on the plus side, even if you take it out, that's still a pretty impressive tank. I mean, yeah, the barrel's a little smaller, but World War II era Japanese tanks and 60s era communist tanks some of them had shorter barrels. So the other issue is the little gun up here is almost the same plastic as the sword barrel, and as you can see, it's drooping. But other than that, in this mode, you can't really do much. So there's not much to do other than just admire the detailing. I mean, the detailing on the treads is really nice. The detailing on the tank is really nice. Frenzy Rumble or some other customizers, Jin Satome, could really add some weathering to this tank mode, I think. But enough of the tank mode. So let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom out here because I need to for the transformation. So we're going to start off with the transformation by turning the turret to the side. You don't have to do this. I do it just to speed things up a little bit. First thing we're going to do is come in here and kind of lift this part up. And then by doing that, you want to unsnap it from the side pieces. Then you come under here and detach the tread here, and then up here, detach it there, and there. So you've got the treads hanging down like that. Next, grab this piece, lift it up, and kind of move it down like that. Same thing over here. I'm going to turn that away just so you can see what I'm doing. Next, we're going to come in here and grab the side and just kind of wiggle it off. And it'll come off. It just takes a little bit of wiggling. And put it directly out like that. We'll do the same thing over here. Now, if you're guessing these form the legs, you'd be right. So let's just get all this stuff. Now, you'll notice this one isn't going down as far. See this little thing here? Just kind of let it, just push that little green part out, and that will form a scabbard for the sword later on. So next we're going to come under here, take this bit, and lift it straight out and up like that. This is where this gets a little crazy. So I turn the turret like that, and then get this back skirt. Well, you know what? Let's do it like that, since that'll allow me to move that part out more. Take this whole section and rotate it around a hinge. And just snap it into place. You see what I did there? This is the way it was, because this is the back of the tank. Just going to rotate it all the way around. And then make sure that these are there. You can bring the legs down and make sure that these white pieces are flush, because you're going to come in here, rotate them around, and snap them into place. Now, mine don't hold super tight. I mean, they're in there, but like just that amount of force popped it out on the one side. So you've got part of the leg and the side skirts. I'm going to take these and rotate them back like that so that the tank parts are facing out the back. We'll fold those out and fold those up so we can get to the feet. Rotate the feet out. Do the same thing over here. Heel spurs down. And then push these back down. Now the reason you push them back down is because they act as extra feet for the heel spur, or extra plastic for the figure to lean up against. So there we have that part. Now for the upper torso, I just like to kind of pop it because it's really, really difficult to get it to move up and down. So you actually have to use a lot of force. So I just kind of hit it, and that'll push the chest down, revealing the head. You can fold the skirt down there. Next, we're going to take the whole front of the tank and split it and swing it down to form the upper shoulders. At this point, you can rotate the turret back up like that if you want. So we'll take this bit, rotate it down like that. Or actually, you know what? Let's not do that yet. Come in here, and this is the very front of the tank. Just kind of get your thumb in there and disconnect it from this part. And then this, you just kind of fold around, down, and out. And you fold the hand out. And you rotate that down. And there you go. There's an arm. So we'll do the same thing over here. I'll just rotate it forward so you can see. So that will come down and out. And here we have Revenge of the Fallen Voyager Bludgeon. Voyager Bludgeon is actually a pretty good size. Here, let me show you against Voyager Classic's Onslaught. He is obviously smaller, but you know what? It's not bad at all. Actually, that's Ultra Class, sorry. So he is smaller, but not so much so that it detracts from the figure. Alright, so in this mode, you can come back here and actually open the turret. And there are a lot of nice little gears in here that's really cool to actually look. As you're opening it, it's spinning a wheel and moving all these gears. And then there's a Wakizashi or a Tonto. I'm thinking this is a Tonto in the back. And something that's really, really cool is if you move the arm, you can put the sword in one of these holes there, the sword in that hole, and then the Wakizashi or Tonto in that hole. He looks a little bit like Armada Megatron there, but oh well. So I like to just leave them out of it for right now. You can pose the cannon any way you want. It really actually does not get in the way, which is nice. And yeah, it's a little back heavy because of the turret, but the turret doesn't get away in the way in robot mode unless you put it in a way and you're trying to pose something a certain way. But it's actually really nice and well thought out. That goes to say this figure is really nice and well thought out. Articulation is a little limited, but you've got as much articulation as you can get here in the arm. Side articulation, plenty of articulation here. Unfortunately, the only thing the hand can do is just kind of rotate like this. Legs are a different story. You've got articulation here, but these side skirts really get in the way, and so does this. If you want to really articulate the legs, you have to lift this up. But a little bit of a, I don't want to say that's Mecha Live, but you just rotate that and you get a nice, the aesthetic of this figure is Bludgeon. The only thing I don't like is the head. You can rotate it about that much and that's it. It's not a perfect figure by any means. The tank kibble really does get in the way in spots. But for me, it is very aesthetically pleasing, and I love the transformation. I think it's a great, satisfying transformation. It's a little bit on the complex side, but what you end up with is a nice figure. And I've gotten some really actually neat poses out of this guy. And the fact that he's hinged here, he's double hinged on the feet, you can get some really nice poses. Like one pose that I came up with actually has him going back, like reaching back to grab the Tonto with this arm, and you can just make it work. See? I mean, you can get him to do that while he's leaning forward, getting ready to strike an Ironhide. And then you can have him holding his sword or getting ready to draw the sword. That's a little bit more tricky and a little bit, okay, we have to play with our perceptions here a little bit, but it works. I mean, you can get a really nice pose of him getting ready to strike or getting prepared to strike. I haven't been able to get it so that he's reaching across his body because his arms are kind of too short. I haven't been able to get him to the point where he looks like he's going to do a quick draw on the sword out of the sheath just because of the nature of the fact that he can't reach across himself. But, you know, I have to say, he's not a perfect figure by any means. But I just like him. I just really am happy with him. I didn't think I was going to be happy with him. Plus, there's one other thing that really makes me happy with him. I was at Walmart when I bought this guy. When I picked up the box, I noticed that there was a breakdown. In fact, the very breakdown that I've already reviewed in the same box, just sitting in there. And I noticed that the box had been taped together. I turned the box around, and the UPC label was this guy's UPC label. So they took two figures, a Voyager class figure and a Scout class figure, combined them in one box, and taped the box together. I got both of these figures for $8. I got a Voyager figure and a Scout for $8. That's extra sweet for me. So I got a figure that I'm really happy with and a Scout for $8. You can't beat that. Now, back to the figure. Yes, he does have a lot of kibble. Yes, he does have some posability issues. But the skeleton motif really works on this figure. And I have to give it to Hasbro and Takara. They really got the look of this figure down. I mean, they really, really thought about this guy. Regardless of if you like the figure or not, you have to give them, the designers, credit because they really came through with the overall appearance of him. He's definitely a good homage to G1 Bludgeon. I think he belongs in your collection. I really like the figure. But as I always say, ultimately, the choice is up to you. I would say get this guy. I think he's a quality figure.